Hey guys, it's Nate here from Truly Daebak and the DaebakCast. This is episode 64. As you can see, this is not a normal episode. We have Umu from ReacttotheK here. We're doing an interview.
Oh.
So, if you somehow are into K-pop and don't know who Umu is, who are you? How do you introduce yourself?
Well, I am the channel starter and runner of the YouTube called ReacttotheK. Basically, we are most known for a series called Classical Musicians React to K-pop, where Eastman music students just do their best to analyze and point out their thoughts about the K-pop composition, and then, of course, react to the music video, too.
Yep. Yeah, you're actually the only React channel I watched, because most of them to me are a little too over the top.
Right, I'm honored.
I like that you guys actually give some musical analysis to it.
Yeah, I think our end goal is just to be able to open our quote-unquote audience's minds about what else you can hear when listening to K-pop, and discover new sounds and ways to understand how K-pop is written, how K-pop sounds, etc.
Yeah, we definitely, for our reviews, kind of start pointing out stuff like that, as little as we know, because none of us are music majors, but just smaller things that are noticeable even to us.
That's great.
Key changes and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, today I wanted to just go over in depth your K-pop history. So how you found K-pop, where it got started, what groups, everything. I'll give you a really short rundown of myself, just so you have some background for me. So I started listening in 2011. Early 2011. I mostly found it from watching StarCraft streams, where in between games they would play K-pop, because StarCraft's so big in Korea. In between games they would play K-pop music videos, some pro streamers. And so I saw G and Sistar and just a bunch of girl groups. And G really caught me. That's my intro song. That's my intro drug. 'Cause it's just so catchy. And I just like that fun, catchy music. Even if it's not as musically complex as some stuff. So yeah, how did you get into K-pop? What year did you start? What did you listen to?
Right. So I believe it was I was in 8th grade. When was that? I think that was 2011, 2012, 2013, one of those 3 years. And I had met a friend.
Don't say that. I was graduating college.
Well, yeah, I was a wee youngster back then, and I just had met a friend who randomly introduced SHINee's Lucifer and 21's I'm the Best to me. So I didn't really know what K-pop was. I didn't know the whole world. I didn't know the fandom. I didn't know what, went behind creating these music videos and songs. I was just like, cool, this is just Korean music, and I love it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until
Lucifer is one of the best songs.
I know, right? It wasn't until my sophomore year of high school. So then again, I don't really keep track of years, so I'm not.
Yeah, that's fine.
What year that was. But
I mean, they can figure out you're in high school, or you're in college right now. They know they know. 2020,
I'm a sophomore in college, and I do not have the brain power to do the correct math to sophomore in high school. So I had also. It's funny because both of these were band friends. So I had met a person over summer, and we started hanging out, and they're like, yo, so have you heard of K-pop? I'm like, yeah, I listened to SHINee's Lucifer and 21's I'm the Best. Yo, and they're like, honey, you haven't even touched the surface of K-pop. So then they showed me BTS's Dope and Vix's Voodoo Doll. Now they showed me Vix's Voodoo Doll clean version because I couldn't handle the not clean version. I flipped. But I was like, okay, so there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of sounds. Whoa, this is cool. And they're like, wait. And then they showed me the behind the scene videos. So they showed me some of BTS's, I think, are they Bangtan Bombs?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure what they're called.
Okay. those things. And I was like, whoa, they're so funny and entertaining. Holy cow. And I like marathon those. And then they showed me some behind the scenes Vix videos. I believe it's called Vix TV. And I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. I started standing the groups, as in like I watched all their videos and I watched all the behind the scene videos. And then it was actually when I started this channel, that was when I began to discover other groups and become multi-fan.
So like even when you started ReacttotheK, you only knew like a very small amount of groups?
Correct. It was
that's interesting.
Channel, like actually people coming to this channel and requesting more and more groups. That's when I've
got you to branch out,
discovering more and more people. So hence like why the very first season of Classical Musicians React were so like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 groups. We're like, you know what? I should probably do more than these. There's so much.
Yeah, there's so much
happening.
variety.
Yeah, exactly. So it was when I started actually in high school, I was afraid that this music conservatory that I was going to go to, I was afraid that I wasn't going to have any K-pop fans. So I was like, I need to stay in touch with my high school K-pop friends and we could start a YouTube channel. We can do reactions and watch each other react because we're all entertaining people. And so that's how that started. And then once we just started getting more and more fans who thought we were entertaining, they introduced, Mamamoo to me. And so then I went on a Mamamoo streak and my channel, exploded a tiny bit. AKA we went to like 100 subscribers and it just kept building from there until I realized, you know what, if I have people at Eastman at my music school react to music, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then,
was this a separate channel? Or did you turn... Okay, so...
that was
ReacttotheK.
ReacttotheK was me and a few friends just staying in touch. And then I did end up rebranding.
Okay. So are all those videos still there?
If you look really hard.
If you like go to the really old videos of the channel?
Yes.
Okay.
I still have some of the try not to laugh.
Oh yeah, okay.
And some old stuff, though I've slowly started turning most of them to unlisted.
Oh, okay.
I cringe at my own.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to go back and watch your old videos, even like I said this is episode 63. Or it might even be 64 actually. I might have gotten that wrong. It is 64. So yeah, if even going back to like episodes 1 and 2, like you could tell like that was only a year ago and our sound quality was way worse and we like didn't know how to talk, like we just didn't know how to podcast.
Right.
Like it's a skill you build up, and reacting is a skill, like, and then on top of that you decided to rebrand and bring in people that had never reacted at all before, so even their videos to compare to now, like they know a lot more of what they're doing.
Exactly.
It's
just development and growth comes with experience.
Yep. So how did you find these reactors? Like did you just go to random people in music classes and ask like, hey, you want to be on my YouTube channel? Or
okay, so something like that actually. So how music school works is that you have a studio, aka people who play your instrument, and you meet every single week, once or twice every single week. So I knew all the French horn players and I knew which ones like I was closer to and I thought might be entertaining. Like I always tried to look for people that are unique and might have I was looking for people who would have big reactions at the very beginning. So that's how I found Lindsay, Fiona, Leah, and Shimon, because they all play French horn. Now, how I found Kevin and Yunyi, that's a new story. So I met Kevin because I was actually wearing a Studio Ghibli shirt the first day of school. And so we struck up a friendship about Studio Ghibli. And I was like, you know what? You have perfect pitch. Like, and you're Asian.
You're Asian.
Thing.
Andrew's our token Asian.
So. Yeah, exactly. And he took me to dinner with Yunyi once. And it actually turns out Yunyi writes her own comics. and has a comic Tumblr. And I was actually a really big fan of this comic Tumblr before I came to this school.
Like before you did you know she went to that school? Or
nope.
She was just a random Tumblr you followed, and you're like, yep. Wait, you make this thing I've been following for years?
It was hilarious because we were eating dinner, and then Kevin brought up like, oh yeah, you're working on your comics, and she was like, yeah, I was, and it's called, I'm like, wait, your name is Jenny. I'm like, do you have a Tumblr? And she's like, yeah, I'm Classic Jenny, and I was like, oh! And I had like a little fangirl moment
yeah.
across the table from her. So I knew that those two were good friends, and it turned out Uni used to like K-pop. So I was like, okay, so you two can be a pair. That's how I found them.
She knew like Big Bang and
exactly,
and Taeyong
and stuff. Big Bang, and then both of them grew up with Big Bang and Girls' Generation. Then I'm trying to think. Jared and Peyton, I think, I found them through trying to find brass players for Amber Shake That Brass video.
Yeah. Yep.
Reaction for that, because I wanted only brass players to react. And so since they ended up being pretty entertaining and pretty lively, I was like, okay, you guys are on the channel. Yeah. But how I found the vocalist, so actually in music school, we have theory classes. So sometimes I get to meet people who play other instruments. And then we also have rehearsals, but you never really talk to anyone during rehearsal.
Yeah, you're kind of
music. Exactly.
You're rehearsing.
So I had to reach out to the people already on the channel saying, yo, do you guys know any entertaining vocalists? That's literally all I said. Who here is entertaining? And because Hugo is he's quite popular at this school, they suggested Hugo, and Gwen is in our grade. And she is a very loud, you can tell she enters a room because her voice carries, and she has a unique personality. So that's how I found them. I literally just messaged them, yo, people tell me you guys are entertaining. Would you be interested in this? So yeah, that's how I found them. And then, am I missing any? Yes, Hugh Davis. How did I get Davis and Henry?
Yeah, I'll say.
How did I get them? I can't remember quite how I met Davis. Henry actually was because we connected before we entered Eastman, because we have to be in a brass quintet as a part of this school. And so brass quintet is 2 trumpets, trombone, and bass trombone or tuba. And I talked with Henry, and we created our own brass quintet. So that's how I knew him. And I believe I asked him like, yo, if your friends, would they be interested in doing this? Yeah. And so that's how I met Davis, I believe.
So has it gotten easier with the new people that you're bringing on? Because they've heard of this crazy thing that's happening at their school.
Yeah, and especially what helped is that my music professor played one of our reactions in our theory class last semester.
What song was it?
It was our A Pink reaction.
Oh, nice. They're one of my favorite groups.
Yes. So now everyone in my grade knows of it. So if I just reach out to them like, hey, would you be interested? They're like, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
If they don't want to be internet famous, and they're like, nah, I'm okay for now.
I'll just watch it if it's interesting.
Exactly.
So getting back to K-pop itself. So you started in, most people know like Mamamoo, VIX are like your 2 favorite groups.
Yep.
So what are like some of the newer groups you found starting the channel that you really, really like, that are starting to get up there with those 2 groups?
Day6, Dreamcatcher, Luna, Leegina, and IU. I've kind of discovered a balance between, because I'm trying to basically figure out what makes me want to stay on a group, what makes me want to favorite a group. And I think it's the groups that I like the majority of the songs from.
Okay.
Especially with Day6 is definitely getting up there, because I don't know, let's say they have 40 songs. I really, really love like 30 out of the 40.
Yeah. Well, Day6 is amazing. I saw that. Have you seen them?
Yes.
Okay,
Where
you did see them. They came to Detroit. So
awesome.
I'm from Michigan, so I went down, got to see them. And then, so you guys went to KCON LA last year? Mm-hmm. Was that your first time going to KCON? And was that your first K-pop concert?
Yes.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yes.
So what made you guys decide to go to LA over New York? I mean, New York's obviously closer?
Because actually, I didn't even know LA KCON in New York existed.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So one day we randomly, or no, actually, I think I saw on Twitter, I think someone tweeted me asking like, so are you going to go to KCON LA or New York? And I was like, what? I didn't know about this. And so then I did my best to be like, okay, guys, you should vote for us, request us. And so then when I got the email, actually, I think KCON New York had already happened.
Yeah.
So
it
basically,
a couple months early.
LA worked best since I'm actually live in California. So this was during the summertime. I think out of the channel, am I? Yeah, I'm the only West Coast person. So in the end, it would have worked better to go to KCON New York. However, it just timing.
Since it happens earlier.
Exactly.
So are you going this year?
I haven't gotten invited yet. I'm waiting for my invitation. If we don't get invited, I'll definitely be going to the LA. And I know since KCON Toronto has already sent us an invitation, I already have some actors, signed up to go to KCON Toronto or K-pop concert Toronto.
It's weird because it's not KCON. It's like it's Toronto K-pop Con is what it is. We went last year to see Card. Since I'm from Michigan and they're both from New York. So yeah, we went to Card last year. But yeah, it's not, for some reason they definitely seem like they're trying to gain some popularity just by being like, it's close enough to KCON that maybe people think we're KCON.
Yeah. I'm curious, from your experience, what's the difference?
It's way, way, way smaller. Like it's very, very small. So it actually, like, to be honest, we didn't have the best experience because we got tickets for Card and EXID, and then they canceled EXID right before. So and then it took forever to get a refund, and
oh goodness,
it wasn't really that big of a con to go for a whole weekend. I don't want to bash it. Card's concert was great. Yeah, they're growing. It's a smaller. They don't have the backing of Mnet because that's why KCON's so big. Is it's M Countdown. They film M Countdown. They have this giant corporation backing it. This is just a small company.
Right.
But yeah, so they're going to see Amber and Ace then.
Yes, they Kevin, Isaac, Charlotte, and Hugo are going to be actually featured on a small YouTuber panel. Okay. And then they will also be going to see those performances. With New York KCON, if we don't get invited, I believe there's a handful of reactors who would want to go. And then I might go depending, because
if you can fly.
So expensive. Yeah.
You got that Patreon money, though.
True, but then
you can use it as an expense.
Patreon is helping me pay for my tuition at college.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you might not want to admit that.
College is expensive.
College is expensive. So are there any other concerts you're going to this year, or that you want to go to?
I want to see Day 6 again. Yeah,
hopefully they come. I want Dreamcatcher. They did a world tour and they didn't come to North America, which is blowing my mind. So I'm they have to go. They have to come.
Yeah, I have a list of artists that I'm I must see live. And Acme. I forgot to talk about Acme. I love Acme. They're they're fighting VIX for #1 actually now.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so Mamamoo not even #1? I thought Mamamoo was #1.
It's just because I don't like Mamamoo's music as much as I love Vix and Acme's. I love Mamamoo's personalities. I love them.
Their talent.
They're relatable, very entertaining, and I love their relationship with each other. Yay! And I love their concepts. But honestly, what makes groups #1 is how much I love their
music. Yeah.
Yeah. So they haven't been quite my cup of tea lately, but I don't know. It switches around a lot. But since Acme has the most songs that make me cry while listening to them, they're fighting VIX for that
#1.
Yeah, but actually, I really, if Chan Hyuk wasn't in the army, I wish that they would come and perform. And then I really want to see Mamamoo live, and I really want to see Dreamcatcher, and then
you got to see VIX at KCON, right?
Yes.
They were there. Okay. I saw them in 2012 when I was studying abroad.
Like a Solar Vix concert?
No. So they have this thing called the Incheon Dream Concert. And it's basically just like KCON. There's like, except it's one day and there's like maybe 15 artists that perform like 2 songs. And it was ridiculous because so like I said, I got into K-pop in 2011.
Right.
And I like only followed, like I followed a lot of groups. I started with SNSD and Kara and 4 Minute. And I went to this concert and I got to see like Infinite and Boa and IU and Vix and 4 Minute and Kara and like Girls' Day. I just got to see like the plethora of like the best groups from that era. Right. Really all it was missing was like SM and YG groups. Well, I guess Boa was there. Oh, and Shiny was there too, actually. I lied about us. Like I got to see Boa and Shiny. So yeah, like I got really lucky while I was there. Actually this back here, for the Miss A signed thing, I was buying music at a music store near the college I was studying at, and the shopkeeper was like, hey, they're doing a signing at the building next door in like 5 hours. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to that now. So it was just like a complete coincidence that I got to meet Miss A.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, I know.
That's
it was
amazing.
Great. But yeah, so for like, how do you, I don't know, I guess, how do you pick what groups you guys get to react to? I mean, obviously, music complexity, it is a big factor.
Yeah, I've kind of, music complex. I'm trying to change my answer in a way that isn't saying it must be musically complex in a certain way, because it's kind of subjective. Yeah. So basically, by now, I am able to tell specific song based on their past reactions. So now I'm following like all the K-pop YouTube channels. I check out every single release, and of course when fans request, I always like click on the link and put watch later, and I have like thousands of songs on my watch later playlist. So I make sure to listen to as many groups as possible. But basically when listening to a song, I just think, how would everyone react to this? What would they be able to point out? Would it be interesting things like, oh, this is something we've never heard before? Or would it be a little repetitive to what we've heard in other K-pop songs? And I really base it off of, like, ultimately the songs that like immediately go on to the 2-rack list are the songs that, you know, go outside the box of pop music, that do weird things, unexpected things that we, you know, tempo-wise, melodically, harmonically, just stuff that we've never heard before.
Yep.
And that's what I'm like, okay, this will make a great reaction video. Even if the artist isn't that popular, it's going on the 2-rack list. And then sometimes if I'm unable to think like, okay, wait, I personally don't like this, I don't want to be biased, then I run it by other musicians here, and I'm like, yo, what do you think of this song? Do you think people could say a lot of stuff about this? And so I guess it does have to kind of do with music complexity, but in the end, I'm just trying to find songs that we'd be able to get a well-rounded or entertaining reaction to. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, obviously, that's a big part of it, but you're not like, I mean, on the, I don't know if is your like Patreon voting, is that public? Like, do people know what songs are on that list? Is it spoilers if I say one of them?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because like, obviously you have G on that list for this month. So like, that's not the most musically complex thing at all. Or maybe it is, and I just think of it as this super catchy, fun song that I love.
It isn't like the most complex thing ever, but it does switch between major and minor pentatonic, which is something we haven't heard much. And what pentatonic is, it's a mode. So basically, you know, there's 12 notes in a scale. Well, pentatonic is only specific notes in the scale. And so the background instrumentals in G are actually quite unique. The melody of G is what makes it catchy, is what makes it like a huge selling pop song. But at the end, one, SNSD being a really extremely popular girl group, and two, the song being like unique enough to be not have everyone be like, okay, this is boring. That's is able, yeah.
Have you guys ever filmed a reaction? Have you filmed any reactions that you had to cut? That it was just too boring?
Yes.
Okay.
I tried to film, GOT7 Trilogy. I tried that,
really?
but every single reaction ended up being, okay. And I was like, no! But basically, actually, Patreons will be able to get access to all the songs that I ended up cutting for the public YouTube channel. There's some Ailey songs that I ended up having to cut, some Daebak songs too. So now I basically, when I do have free time, I just record, like, because right now I do have a schedule and like specific days they have to react to these specific songs. But if I end up having extra time and like I haven't run these songs by anyone, then I'm like, you know what? Patreon deserves more, new content. And so then if the reactions turn out like not the most interesting, I'll upload them to Patreon. But if it's like mind blowing, then I'll upload to YouTube. So yes, that does happen sometimes. But now I've kind of changed my strategy into making sure to review the songs before showing the reactors.
So how did you go about talking to some of the other like special reactors you've had, like your teacher, your like music producing teacher, or like the PhD students or that type of stuff?
Yeah, may I say I was very, very, very nervous when talking to them. So I'll start off with my professor, Stephen Resner. So basically, just like taking his class, he has a very open, very fun personality. He really wanted to help us out and get us interested in sound or recording arts in any way possible. And he kept saying, like at the end of the class, email me, let's go get a cup of coffee, and I can listen to your favorite songs. And that's what's, sparked a little light bulb. It's like, I can try and recreate your favorite song and like, point out things. And I was like, oh my goodness, this whole time. And I ended up bringing up, after a break, he said, so how did everyone's breaks go? And I was like, well, now that you talk about it, I ended up doing blah, 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 because I have a YouTube channel. And he's like, oh, that's cool. And so he knew in the back of his mind that I had a YouTube that, reviews pop music. And so I think I just got up the courage one day to talk to him after class, and I was saying, so, that I do like K-pop reaction reviews. I'm like trying to, expand my series and get new people's ideas or like, explanations behind
different perspectives.
Songs. Yeah. And I was like, would you be interested for like an hour or two to review these songs after midterms or something? He was like, yeah, totally. And he was so chill and so fun about it. So that's how I got him. And the PhDs, actually, I work with them. And I was editing. Okay. I work at my school's media lab, and sometimes I just edit performances online. And this time my bosses weren't there, and whenever our bosses aren't there, we're allowed to do our own stuff. So I was just editing the channel, and one of the guys who I had talked to before came up behind me. He's like, oh, yo, so I've heard about this. Saw you post on Facebook. Like, what's up? And I was like, wait. You're old.
You're old.
You have more.
You're probably younger than me. Don't say that.
You have more theory knowledge than us undergrads. Like, would you be interested in doing this? He's like, yeah, totally. Like, because he likes anime and he likes anime soundtracks. So I was like, you know what? You're familiar with J-pop. Like, hey, it's just K-pop. And then the shift after me was Joseph, the TA, music theory TA, and he knows the guy who like approached me before my shift. And so when the guy who just said that he would do the series saw him, he was like, yo, you know what? He's a theory TA, and you said you were looking for a music theorist. Like, Joseph, would you be interested in doing this? And Jeff was like, oh, I've never heard of K-pop. What is this? But sure, I finished he finished his PhD and he was just teaching classes. He didn't have to do any of his own work. So he was like, yeah, I'm free. Let's film. So that's how I got them. And then Randy Gardner, who I haven't quite gotten on the channel yet, but you might have seen me tweet about him. He is a mastering engineer in New York who he masters a lot of SM entertainment songs.
Yeah, I remember you talking about, I remember seeing tweets.
Yeah, so I successfully have contacted him. I contacted his manager first, and then she was like, yeah, he'd do it. Here's his email. And so then I messaged him, and then he said, I'm busy right now, but in a few months, go ahead and send your questions, and I'll be able to...
So what are you doing with him? Because obviously him reacting to K-pop isn't really a thing, because he makes K-pop.
I'm going to be interviewing him.
Interviewing.
So I don't know, are you familiar with Mr. J K-pop?
No.
Okay, he was kind of like the musician reactor of YouTube before I came along. He was able to interview Mamamoo since he worked for RBW for a little bit. And basically how he did it was he filmed himself talking and Mamamoo filmed themselves talking.
Okay, and then he just edited it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm going to do. A bunch of fans sent in questions about what it's like, mastering K-pop songs and the language barriers and if he gets to work with the artists at all. And then also... He hasn't replied to me yet, but I'm hoping that he'll be able to show us a little bit of his work, or at least play the song and then just take us through and say like, oh, at this part, I made sure to bring out the piano a little bit more, so it complemented her voice or something like that.
Yeah, just give a little insights.
If he says he isn't able to like have a speaker set up and pause and talk about it, then I'm just going to ask him specific questions like, so at this moment, what were you thinking? At this moment, what were you thinking? So yeah, I want to like dissect his brain a little bit about the process that how he works on K-pop songs.
Yeah, that'll be really cool because the reaction from your professor is definitely my favorite. Like, it was really insightful to see that type of stuff, like that perspective of like mixing and everything.
There's a lot more cool things coming along because I filmed with him for 3 hours.
I watched all of it on like everything you had on Patreon, the uncut thing. So I've seen the whole thing. But yeah, I loved that. I just had to watch through the whole thing. I was like, I want to know what he thinks of all these songs. And plus he loved TT the best, so.
Yes, I don't know. My goal is to end up getting also composers to talk about their creations too. So my business manager right now is trying to find the contact information for some of my favorite K-pop composers, and we'll, fingers crossed, see what happens.
Like who? Because we talk about like producers and stuff a lot here. So,
okay.
We get really in depth with it.
I see. That's amazing. Maybe I'll have to check out your podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's LDN Noise, Simon Pitchin, and Andreas Oberg that are my favorites.
Yeah, LDN Noise obviously is huge. We did a year-end awards ceremony, and we even did producer of the year. Like that's how deep into it we make sure. Andrew's really into it. He's the one who really checks the producers and everything. So yeah, if you want to listen to a podcast that gets really in depth with K-pop, then check us out. Because two of us have been listening, or actually all three of us have been listening since 2011, and we've just gone into the deep end like crazy.
You guys are K-pop masters.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I don't want to take too much more of your time, but we just have a couple questions from like friends and stuff. So, favorite Ghibli movie? Funny thing, I just had a conversation with a friend today because Princess Mononoke has been number one for, I'd say, like 5 years of my life, but lately I don't know, I feel like House Moving Castle gives off such a nostalgic feeling, and that's what I've been like leaning towards as an old 20-year-old. So I had to say House Moving Castle recently. That's the first one I've ever seen, so that's probably my favorite. Favorite anime. So outside of like Ghibli, do you watch a lot of actual like shows? And
actually, I was quite the anime geek before K-pop. Once K-pop took over my life, then anime went downhill as I started dedicating more time to K-pop.
Yeah.
But I think I have to say Clannad, because my heart has been torn out and stomped on, but in the end, I love the characters, I love the soundtrack, I love the relationship between everyone, and it's just, I don't know. I have really a lot of good memories watching it with friends and stuff.
Okay. And then the most important question. Why do you like EXID's DDD? I cannot stand that song. We're so divided on that song. So Andrew and I hate that song. Our other co-host like loves it a lot, and then other people in our K-pop chat love it. But we just to me, I don't know what it is. But okay, I want to hear why you like it so much, because you put it above. I'm curious,
why do you dislike it?
It's just the actual dur part is just so gratingly obnoxious to me. It's if that part was out of the song, I would think it's okay. I would probably like it, but just that part of it, I don't know. Parts of it really bother me for some reason, and it's definitely one of the most disappointing songs from last year for me. But you put it above Night Rather Than Day, which is what we think is the epitome of EXID's songs. That's our favorite. All of our favorite
Night
songs.
Rather Than Day a lot, but it's too repetitive for me. That's what made it go under DDD for me. So the actual dur part, I like because it's chromatic. Okay. Which means it's sexy. Yeah. Eroticism equals sexy, and then I can get why maybe the texture or timbre of it can be so annoying. Personally, I like it because it is grating, and I think it adds contrast to this very poppy and upbeat chorus. I think the song has lots of variation, which I personally lean towards a lot when listening to K-pop. And it's just the dur part, I feel, I'm trying to remember the actual instrumentals behind it, but it's just this really badass feeling that I get, especially since I think it's da 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 da, it's on the offbeats. Yeah, so it's accenting. It has a different feel from when a song goes strongly, just hitting every single beat on the on beat. Okay. And so also the melody is just so singable, and I like me some K-pop songs that I can belt along to while driving a car.
Don't we all?
I think, it's just the overall, I like upbeat sexy songs more than relaxed sexy, because I feel Day Rather Night is have a sip of wine.
Yeah, it's chill.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I think in the end it might just be who prefers laid back sexy music versus upbeat grating sexy music.
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely understand your explanation. I just that part just bothers me so much for some reason. I can't even explain why at this point. It just does. Yeah, so that was our mate. That was the one question we're we gotta ask. We need to know, because it's so divisive for us.
Right.
So yeah, this was awesome. I'm glad you let us do this. Because I definitely felt it could have been overboard, since technically with the Patreon reward or whatever, it was just hang out. So thank you for letting us interview. Fun. Yeah, if you, I don't know if you ever want to do a full episode, that would be awesome. So
maybe bring in some of the reactors too.
Oh yeah, we do whatever. Because how our episodes work is we do 4 topics. So we each bring a topic, and then we decide on a overall, we just decide on a 4th topic. And then we release each topic Monday through Thursday, and then we do the full episode of all 4 of them combined on Friday. So yeah, it's it would work. You could bring your own topic that we all discuss.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. We bringing different discussions to the table. Although at this point oh, go ahead.
Sorry, may I go? I do have a week off of school in April, so I would probably be very bored, and I would love to do a full episode.
Oh, awesome.
Then if it isn't too late.
No, yeah, we can, we'll figure it out. We can keep in touch through Patreon or Skype or whatever. Yeah. Okay, yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Today is the best time it's ever been to be a K-pop fan, though. As far as acceptance and whatnot, here at college, I'm completely open about being super into K-pop.
No, I would have never told anyone when I first got into it.
For me,
at college.
I'm kind of vice president of the Korean club, so
Well, yeah.